is that ultimate paradox of like, well, here I am in a physical body being source aware of itself, but now I have to connect to source. Like, what? Wait a minute. You know,
And then there's,
yeah.
as you talk about war, it's like an implication as a warrior, as a Marine. One of the things it was kind of funny. We used to sit around at basic school and, it was, we pray for war, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We all want to pray for peace, but Marines pray for war because that's what we do. We fight the war, but it was a joke, right? Because nobody wants to go to war. We're here to
some people
swap.
do.
Yeah, the warmongers. Yeah.
Based on results.
Well, and the economic machine that is war, right?
Yeah, well,
you can't deny it. That's a reality of our economy, right? So
I don't know. I would love to continue being part of conversations with you guys and see where it all unfolds, because it is unfolding. I'm sure about that. As much as I would like it to be peaceful and harmonious and unifying, some days it's actually quite disruptive. And the warrior component in me is, I personally think that a lot of the juice is in the struggle, frankly. If you want to talk about leadership, if you ain't jumping into struggles, you ain't leading nothing. Because there's an awful lot of struggles happening right now that people are too afraid to jump into. And they would rather just kind of flow with everything. And that's nice. But there's some things that need to happen at different levels right now, as far as I can tell, that people need to jump into the middle of some shit that may not be so comfortable in the least bit. And then it's comfortable, and then it's uncomfortable, then it's comfortable, then it's uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I think we all want comfort, right? As human beings, the reptilian brain, right? Pleasure, pain.
Yeah, except that the universe doesn't seem to work that way. It works in rhythmic patterns. It has cycles to it.
And I think the wise people like you, Chuck, and I'd like to think that I espouse this to some extent, is that comfort's not where the results lie, right? The struggle is what conditions us, right, to be where we want to be, but it's easier said than done. I want comfort as much as the next guy does, right? But I also understand the value of discomfort, and I think that's part of what we're here to do collectively, is to condition people to want to step into this time of uncertainty and chaos and discomfort and figure out what it means for us, whether it be men of, leaders of families, fathers, spouses. And then how do we exemplify a positive orientation in the context of this profound discomfort that we're feeling existentially as a society, So.
Again, we could go on for hours with philosophical discussions. I don't literally, I've gotten to a place, I'll be 69 years old this year. It's exciting, actually. And I've gotten to a place where I'm really in acceptance about, it's beautiful to be comfortable, like it really is. There's no either or conversation anymore, too much in my head. There's some, obviously, but not a lot. It's kind of like, no, this is what's happening now, and this is good. And this is what's happening now, and this is good. And it's all good in the sense that it's all happening now. So let me engage with what's happening now. And there's not a lot of distinctions, even though, again, these conversations get kind of inane after a while. Sometimes when I listen to myself talk, there's a component of opposites always entwined that are always happening. So it's not a matter of I'm enjoying the struggle or I'm enjoying comfort. No, there's just comfort and there's struggle in my perception of what's happening. And I think that energetically, at some universal level, there's a major transformation happening on planet Earth right now with our evolution on planet Earth that is kind of important somehow, somewhere, based on the giant timeline of events, because the planet will survive fine without us. The conscious entity of the planet and, the plants and the insects, they'll be fine without us. We won't survive without them. So if we want to use this planet as a place of operation, as a base of operation to be conscious and aware of what's happening, we got to do some things that change things at a pretty radical level in the business world as far as how people sustain survival for the majority of the people on the planet, and how they make it um, not just surviving, but thriving, and as the cliche goes these days, in a way that is bringing that connection of source to everyone, so we can figure out what happens next, because there's a next too. If we get through all this fine and everything gets fixed as far as the brokenness that's going on, because there's a lot of brokenness going on, if we can get through this and we get through it successfully, then there's another next, and
There's
so
always another
that's
next.
going to be a whole nother process.
That's, we're always in the next, because it's evolution. And it's interesting that some of the things I was listening to that you mentioned at the very beginning of your conversation. You were speaking about the difference in the energy with being in aura with others, and the strength of that feeling of when you connect your aura with another, and in the group setting, the differences. It's a real, and it's a very, it's visceral, and it's very, you feel it strongly. Here online, it's there, but you feel it much thinner. But it's there. I mean, I've had connections with people and getting upset with them, and you can feel the frequency is there as well. So it really depends on the who you're connecting with and how we're connecting. It's still felt. It can happen on a telephone without even seeing the person, and they can be in Russia. It's there because we're all energetic beings. So I mean, that's one of the beautiful things that I've been studying and understanding. And in terms of for business, how that works, because that's been a huge problem in terms of how teams come together, not understanding the mechanics of that, and and what we actually inherently bring to that particular circle. And so there's a whole science to it, which I've gotten this certification, and it's just been really amazing in bringing this to the next level of this new paradigm that we're entering into of this unknown paradigm. It's quite fascinating. But in order to work properly, from what I'm seeing and hearing from more and more of these conversations, and I'm listening to them in in very different platforms, from the political arena to the entertainment arena to the the psychiatric, psychological, to the, I mean, all of them. It's just quite fascinating to hear this similarity in terms of, we're talking about connection. How do we connect? How, who are my right people? Who are my right allies, and so on. This is what's important. And what's breaking down that I'm seeing is that the old bargain, the bargain that we were operating under for the past, hundreds of thousands of years, it's coming to an end. It's changed, and it's changing, and we're this last cycle, the end of this particular cycle. You're talking about global cycles and so on. This is things I've been studying as well, which is quite fascinating. I love that study and understanding it, because it also brings something in the practical, in the pragmatic. It understanding it from that level gives, it has a very practical application to it as well, for leaders and for the individuals. So I'm fascinated by that, and it's a drive for me. And so yeah, how to bring this into this new thing. What I've been doing lately is working with individuals, clients, but also building out a platform on this new system that's called Kajabi. And it's an all-in-one system where you can create your communities and membership site, and your CRMs and the whole thing. You can do all of your build out, and for your courses and the evergreen systems and all of that. It's just wonderful. It's just one of these new technologies that's of this, where we're headed, right? In this new paradigm, so to speak.
Yeah.
Where and so I've been building these this platform out for this specific work, and as well to to work with small businesses, and and small teams and so on. I find it more fascinating. I mean, I'm interested in working with large organizations, but right now I think it's more appealing to work with smaller teams, small groups, or groups, small teams within large organizations.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
you know, it's just,
You talk about Kajabi and a platform. There's so many different platforms out there, and
Mhm.
they're all facilitating deployment of something. And what I think we're here to do is to facilitate the deployment of consciousness, if you want to call it that, collective wisdom, as we raise the bar into an uncertain paradigm of, as we talk about what's next. Well, there's those three words again. I don't know, but I like hanging out with guys like you, because you strengthen me and make me realize that maybe if I operate from that place of resourcefulness and I center and I listen and I, kind of fall back on my, inner authority, that maybe it'll be okay.
I agree, and I have a client a few months back who just was phenomenal. Back to what Richard was just saying, and she's from Algeria, and she grew up, in the boonies of Algeria, out in the middle of nowhere, and came to the United States. Went through arranged marriages and a lot of abuse and yada 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 yada, and then married a really good guy from the Middle East, but he moved to the United States, and they opened up some businesses. He was successful. She got successful in what she was doing, and she, through our process, got to a place of acceptance of her past and blah blah blah, and she has a cleaning service. She teaches women how to do cleaning for housing. Yeah. And she went into Kajabi, just to reiterate what you're saying, Richard, and expanded her business so far, so fast using Kajabi that all of a sudden Al Jazeera had her on as a financial expert. All of a sudden, everybody that, was Muslim, women that she was talking to that didn't have their own businesses or entrepreneurial things, they're all her clients. Like all of a sudden she had 30,000 clients paying a monthly fee. I mean, it was phenomenal how fast that process worked for her. And unfortunately, she went back into her, now I've landed here and I'm super successful, so I'm going to go buy a lot of fancy cars, which was the opposite of what I was talking to her about. But, she'll learn how she learns. But the Kajabi thing was like, wow, it happened in less than a month. As soon as she got the platform down right on what she wanted to sell out of her office, on teaching people how to open up their own business and coaching, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I was like, oh, wow, maybe I should be doing that shit. It's nice to hear. I'm just not 100%, doesn't quite connect right for me yet. I'm not sure what I'm selling on Kajabi.
Right. I think that has to come first. You got to.
That's what Chris was just, So, whenever these conversations can happen, and if I can contribute anything or listen or gain anything, I'd be more than happy to continue this, because I'm stoked about it.